Hey, so if you've got a rusty truck and you're looking for a cost-effective solution, there's a ton of options out there. And if you are already driving a rusty truck, chances are you're not super concerned about structural integrity. So if you're just looking for a cosmetic fix, there's a handful of different options on the market. And what we're gonna go over today specifically are plastic slip-on rocker cover panels. So what they're basically designed to do is just go over that rusted area down on the rocker, sort of make the truck look new again, or at least cover up that rust. And we're gonna go through 3 specific brands of slip-on rocker panels that are made of plastic. Kind of show you all the features and benefits of each one, share a little bit about the installation and the price, and you can come to the conclusion on what works best for you. Alrighty, so the first one that we're gonna look at is Bushwacker Trail Armor. And this is a product that's been on the market for a while. They have tons of applications. What we're gonna do is unbox this and take a look at what's all included in the kit, and then we'll put it on the truck and see what it looks like. Okay, so the first thing that you'll notice is that this actually comes in 4 total pieces. So you've got kind of this section for the back door here, another piece that kind of goes through the B-pillar through the front door, and then the same thing for the other side. They also come pre-taped with double-sided tape, and it looks like they also include instructions and some alcohol pads to clean the surfaces where that tape adheres to the truck. So we're gonna stick these on the truck, kind of show you the fitment, show you the coverage, super easily install process. All right, let's get these on the truck. Okay, so obviously for a truck this rusty, the Bushwackers don't give us anywhere near enough coverage. We've still got a gaping hole here. You can see that they do fit pretty well up inside the rocker. Not a whole lot of coverage there, but in terms of fitment, they do fit on the truck really nicely. The downside is because this truck is so rusty, there's nothing to attach the bottom to here. And I've actually seen these trucks driving around before with these Bushwacker covers where they're flapping around in the breeze because there's just nothing to attach to down there. But if you've got very minimal rust, these go on super fast and they do fit really nice. Just not a whole lot of coverage. Okay, so the next product we're gonna be looking at is Redneck Randy rust covers. I think maybe now they go by Randy's covers. These obviously are packaged a little bit different. They come in 2 different boxes. So let's open these up and see what comes in this kit. Okay, so right out of the box, we can see that this is also a 4-piece design, but it's quite a bit different than the Bushwackers. We've got these really long rocker sections, and they've actually decided to put their seam right at the cab corner where it meets the rocker. So a little bit different design. These don't have any tape or anything included with them, but they do come with some plastic fasteners. We've got some simple instructions here, a cool little sticker, and some more hardware that I'm not sure what it is, so we'll have to read the instructions and see what the purpose of that is. So let's get these on the truck and see how it looks. Okay, so with the Redneck Randy or the Randy covers, we can see that we do get quite a bit more coverage, so we actually have just enough to cover the rust on this particular truck. Their fastening system, they include these push-in plastic clips that they recommend just kind of putting wherever you have good metal. So you end up kind of having this exposed hardware. They do have a little bit less coverage inside the door jambs. So you can see we have rust kind of bubbling up past the cover here. And then once again, because this truck's super rusty, there's nothing to attach the bottom to down here, so you kind of get this wavy pattern, and I just worry about it flapping around in the breeze again. As far as fitment, I would say not quite as good as the Bushwacker. Still pretty good overall, especially once you get it in place. We did have to cut the rockers down to length. They come extra long, and so we actually had to cut them down. But like the cab corner did go on just a little bit difficult. It almost seemed like it was maybe a little too narrow. And then of course, with the rockers, they just don't have quite as much structure to them. So they do have a little bit of that waviness on the bottom if you don't have a rocker to attach to down there. You can kind of take a look and see what that looks like with the doors closed. If you do have this really, accentuated waviness here, you probably could fabricate some kind of bracket to sort of pull this up into place and maybe screw up to the floor pan or something up in there. It's just not a solution that they offer, but if you're handy enough to install these, you can probably figure something out. It's just an extra step to try to get it to look halfway decent. Alrighty, so the first thing you'll notice on the quick covers is this is a one-piece design. So we've got the entire rocker all the way up to the cab corner with a lot more height and coverage here on the cab corner side. Now they do offer these in two finishes. So we've got a textured finish, which has like a UV stable coating on it, so you don't have to paint it, you don't have to worry about it fading over time. And then if you want a little bit cleaner look, something more close to the factory appearance, you can get the smooth covers, which do have to be painted to match, and that's what we're going to be putting on this truck today. But you've got an option either way. If you want something a little quicker, you can go with the textured. If you want to make your truck look like it was originally, you can get the smooth ones and paint them to match. Now these do include multiple page instructions, a little QR code, so you can actually look up the YouTube install videos. Really detailed instructions with pictures, multiple pages here. And then also included in the instructions is what they recommend for rust preventative. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But we've also got a roll of tape. We've got some rivets, the alcohol pads to clean off the surfaces for the tape, and then a little frequently asked questions card that sort of answers some of the questions that we've got. One of those are on these smooth covers, sometimes you'll see these little sanded areas. And basically that's just something that they do at the factory. If there's any little imperfections, they'll just pre-sand them for you. That way the smooth covers are ready to paint as soon as they're out of the box. You don't have to do any extra finishing or anything. So let's get one of these smooth covers painted, and then we'll get that on the truck and compare it to the other two. Okay, so if you're planning to paint your smooth quick covers like we are, they actually make it really easy by offering the smooth starter kit. And because they've done some of that pre-sanding at the factory, there's no like scuffing that you have to do on this particular plastic. All you do is take this anti-static surface cleaner, put it on a lint-free cloth, and just wipe down the entire cover and then let it flash dry. And then you're gonna do a couple light coats with this adhesion promoter primer, which is specifically engineered to stick to plastic and give a good surface, a bed surface for your paint to go down. We do recommend using a two-part paint. So base coat, clear coat. A lot of automotive shops will give you like a spray can aerosol paint to match your vehicle. You just need to bring in your paint code and they'll mix it up for you. And that's what we did with this cover. So really simple process, and that's an additional kit available from Quick Covers to make painting something that you can do at home. Alrighty, so we've got the painted quick cover installed here. We actually just popped the rear door off because it makes it a little bit easier for installation, but that only takes about 20 minutes. You can see that we've got full coverage all the way up to the body line here. And because it's painted to match, obviously you can't even really tell that it's a plastic cover. It matches the truck really well. We've also got full coverage all the way up into the door jamb here. It's actually tucked under the weather stripping here. And it goes full coverage all the way across to the very front there. You can kind of see on the A-pillar. So complete coverage. We'll throw that rear door back on and see what it looks like panned out. Alrighty, so this is the quick cover installed. We've got the door pop back on. We'll eventually put our little chrome piece back right over the top so you won't even be able to tell. And we do still have a little bit of that waviness across the bottom because we've got nothing to attach to. But that's where Quick Covers is unique in that they actually offer a bracket kit that can kind of rebuild that inner rocker. And that'll give us a surface to apply the rivets across the bottom so we can get a nice, smooth, flat line across the bottom just like the factory. And we'll show you what that looks like. Alrighty, so let's recap. We're going to kind of go down a list of features here to kind of compare each one of these brands, and I'll just kind of speak to my observation, but obviously you can draw your own conclusions based on what you saw. So let's talk coverage. Started out with the Bushwackers, obviously really no coverage on the cab corner there. It just kind of terminates right at that end of the door right there at the bottom. Wasn't enough to cover the hole on this truck. Moving on to the Redneck Randy covers, we saw the cab corner about halfway up, which was enough coverage on this truck to get over the rust, but I worry a little bit that that rust might creep out, especially if you don't do any rust preventative. And then obviously with the quick covers, we had full coverage all the way up to that body line. And of course, if we do treat the rust beforehand, we have no worries. Even if we don't, I've never seen a truck rust up that far anyway. So you should be covered for life on that side of it. Moving down the list of features, let's look at fitment. So the Bushwackers actually fit really well. They went right on the truck, no modification. They do mention in their instructions that there might be some trimming and sanding required, but we didn't have to do anything. Obviously a top quality product in terms of fitment and finish. So give them an A grade there. With the Redneck Randy covers, I did have to trim that rocker to length, and we did have a little bit of a fitment issue on the cab corner where it looked like maybe it just wasn't quite wide enough. But overall, still a pretty good fit. So we'll give them a B rating there. And then on the quick covers, obviously they fit like a glove. We'll give them an A rating. Just snaps right into place, full coverage, and you can't even hardly tell once it's on the truck. Now let's talk about price. So in terms of price, the Bushwackers, depending on where you buy them, might be somewhere in the $150 range, sometimes closer to $200, sometimes they're on sale for a little less. They're kind of right in the middle of the road in terms of price for something like this. The Randy covers kind of vary depending on where you buy them. I think I bought that set for probably under $130 total. Obviously some of these have shipping, some don't, but they definitely are the cheapest in terms of options like this. And then the quick covers, you know, being the one-piece design, the full coverage, the perfect fit, they are going to cost a little more. And then of course you can get the additional items like the brackets, the rust preventative, the painting kit. Those are all extra. Another feature that's worth looking at is surface finish. So the Bushwackers come only in that textured finish. They do claim that they can be painted, and I have seen people that have done that. You either end up with kind of this rough painted surface, which looks kind of like a rock guard, or it looks a little silly. Otherwise, you have to spend a bunch of time sanding it all smooth, and then you can get something more like a factory finish. The Randy covers are only offered in smooth. They've said on their Facebook page and their website that paint has trouble adhering to that plastic. I'm not sure what kind of plastic they use, but I think if you played around with different types of primers, you could find something that would stick to it, so you probably could paint them. They just don't make it very clear in their instructions. And then obviously with quick covers, you've got the two options. You can get the textured panels, which just install right on the vehicle, and most of the times they'll kind of match the same finish and color of like a textured fender flare. Or if you want to do the smooth and paint them to match, like we've got here, they're a perfect grade A finish. It's already sanded for you. All you've got to do is wipe them down and paint them. So in terms of surface finish, both in terms of the number of options that you have and the final finish, quick covers seems to win there. So overall, you know, you've got options. If you've got minimal surface rust, you've got a little bit of money, you want something that fits nice, Bushwacker's probably your best bet. If you're just looking for the cheapest option and you don't really care how it looks, the Randy covers are maybe the most cost effective. And then if you're wanting to essentially return your truck to its original appearance for thousands less than a traditional repair, and you're willing to spend just a little bit more money, quick covers are definitely the way to go. And obviously that sort of segues into some of these additional add-ons that quick covers offers that the other two don't. So the brackets to get the fitment and get that nice straight edge along the bottom, and then the rust prevention. And these are sort of two key areas that really sort of make an installation look good versus kind of like a cheap cover-up. So the cool thing about both of those additional kits from quick covers, whether it's the bracket kit or the rust or the corrosion inhibitor kit, those could be universally used. So you could actually use the quick cover bracket kit with the Bushwackers or the Randys or the quick covers, because it's basically just rebuilding the inner rocker. And if you've got a bunch of rust, it's definitely worth making that investment, because it's just going to make sure they're attached, everything looks straight and clean, they're not flapping around in the breeze. And if you're going to go to the trouble to put any sort of slip-on rocker on your truck at all, it's worth spending another 30, 40, 50 bucks, getting some sort of rust preventative, wiping it on the outside, spraying it on the inside, just to slow down the progression of that rust, to sort of protect that investment in time and material that you put into it to put those covers on it. So obviously this truck is pretty rusty, like a lot of old trucks out there, and we noticed when we started to put all these different covers on that we didn't really have any surface to attach to on the bottom. Now, The Bushwackers and the Randy covers don't really have anything in their instructions about how to attach the bottom side. They don't really have any solution for that. But with quick covers, if you've got a really rusty truck like this and you don't want your rocker cover flapping in the breeze, you can get these quick brackets. So they just come in a separate kit here in this little box. And basically they're galvanized steel that are actually made to mimic the inner rocker panel inside the truck. And they basically just fit up inside the truck. They attach with some self-tapping screws that come with the kit. And that gives you, it sort of rebuilds that original pinch flange, gives you a surface to rivet the bottom of those covers to, so they can be nice and secure on the vehicle. Alrighty, so if you have a rusty truck and you're looking at one of these options, obviously you don't want to just cover it up and let the rust go crazy underneath. Most slip-on rocker panels or companies that sell them don't really have any solution for rust mitigation. But what Quick Covers has done is they experimented in a body shop for years, and they came up with a pretty cost-effective way to at least slow down the spread of that rust before you put the cover on. And what comes in that kit is it's just a high viscosity grease with a brush. So you sort of brush that on the outside areas of the vehicle that are rusty or going to be exposed to the elements. And then there's this Like 90, which is more of a fluid type material that you would actually spray up inside the inside of the panels to try to coat those. So basically you're just trying to get like 360-degree coverage all around the original panels to prevent any oxygen or water from accessing them directly to accelerate that rust process. And if done right, this can really slow down the progression of rust, so it's not going crazy underneath those fancy new covers you just put on your truck. So regardless of what slip-on rocker cover you choose, a rust prevention process like this is definitely a good thing to do before you actually install them. Alrighty, so that wraps up our review of plastic slip-on rocker covers. Let us know in the comments what you liked, what information that you maybe thought was missing, and what you think would be best for your application.